their mother would love to bang their heads together and say, "Boys, grow up."
Diana's butler just dropped the bombshell that will destroy the royal family forever. What he revealed about Harry is so insane that even I couldn't believe it at first.
It's a dirty game. I don't want to believe that my family have been briefing.
This secret has been hidden for over 25 years, and when you hear it, you'll understand why they were desperate to silence him. This is shaking the palace right now, because this changes everything we know about Prince Harry.
And the things that they're going to miss is, well, everything.
The relationship between Prince Harry and the British royal family has been one of the most closely watched and debated topics in recent years. After stepping back from royal duties in 2020 and moving to California with his wife Meghan Markle, many wondered if the Duke of Sussex would ever truly reconcile with his family. Recent developments suggest that while complete reconciliation may still be a distant goal, there are signs that healing between father and son might finally be beginning. Prince Harry's recent visit to the United Kingdom marked a significant moment in what has been a turbulent few years for the royal family. Unlike previous trips that were brief and focused solely on specific events, this visit included something that hadn't happened in quite some time: a private meeting between Harry and his father, King Charles III. The meeting took place at Clarence House, the King's official residence, and lasted approximately 30 minutes. While this might seem like a short amount of time, royal watchers and former palace staff suggest it represents something much more significant than the duration might imply. The timing of this meeting is particularly noteworthy. King Charles III had recently been diagnosed with cancer, a health scare that appeared to shift priorities within the royal family. Personal crises often have a way of putting family disputes into perspective, and this situation seems to have created an opening for dialogue that hadn't existed before. The king's health diagnosis reportedly prompted Harry to reach out, and more importantly, it seems to have made the king more receptive to reconciliation efforts. According to those familiar with royal protocol and family dynamics, the decision to meet at Clarence House rather than Buckingham Palace was deliberate. Clarence House serves as the king's private residence and represents a more personal, less formal setting than the official staterooms of Buckingham Palace. This choice of venue suggests that both father and son were approaching this meeting as a family matter, rather than an official royal engagement. The meeting itself was described by sources close to the situation as cordial but serious. Both men reportedly had things they wanted to say, and the conversation covered not just their personal relationship, but also concerns about the future. One of the most significant aspects of their discussion allegedly centered around the king's role as a grandfather. Harry and Meghan's children, Archie and Lilibet, are King Charles's grandchildren, but the ongoing family rift has meant limited contact between them and their grandfather. The role of grandparent holds particular significance for King Charles III, who has always placed great importance on family relationships despite the formal constraints of royal life. Friends of the king have noted that being separated from his youngest grandchildren has been one of the most difficult aspects of the ongoing family disputes. The meeting with Harry reportedly included discussions about potential future visits and ways to maintain a relationship with the grandchildren, regardless of the broader family tensions. It's important to understand that King Charles III approaches family relationships through the lens of his role as head of the Church of England. This position carries with it certain expectations about forgiveness, reconciliation, and maintaining family bonds. Unlike some members of the royal family who may hold grudges or maintain rigid positions, the king appears to have a more flexible approach when it comes to healing family rifts. This attitude seems to stem from both his religious convictions and his understanding that short-term anger often gives way to long-term regret, especially when family relationships are involved. The king's willingness to meet with Harry also reflects his understanding of his own mortality and the importance of resolving conflicts while there's still time. At his age and with his recent health scare, King Charles III appears to be prioritizing relationships over protocol and personal feelings over public perception. This shift in priorities may explain why he was willing to take the first step toward reconciliation when Harry reached out. However, it would be misleading to suggest that this single meeting represents a complete resolution of all the issues between father and son. The conversation at Clarence House was reportedly just the beginning of what both men acknowledge will be a long process. Years of hurt feelings, public statements, and broken trust cannot be repaired in a single 30-minute conversation, no matter how well-intentioned both parties might be. The meeting did appear to establish some ground rules for moving forward. Both the King and Harry reportedly agreed that future interactions should remain private, at least initially. This represents a significant shift from the very public nature of their disputes over the past few years. The agreement to keep reconciliation efforts private suggests that both men have learned from past mistakes and understand that family healing requires a different approach than public relations. There was also discussion about the practical aspects of any future relationship. Harry now lives in California with his young family, and any meaningful reconciliation would need to account for the geographical distance and the different life he has built in America. The King reportedly expressed interest in visiting his grandchildren in California, though such a trip would require careful planning given the security and protocol requirements that follow the monarch wherever he goes. The meeting also touched on Harry's concerns about security when visiting the United Kingdom. This has been an ongoing issue since Harry lost his automatic police protection after stepping back from royal duties. The King reportedly assured Harry that his safety would be a priority during any future visits, though the specific arrangements would need to be worked out through proper channels. Perhaps most significantly, the meeting seems to have established that both father and son want to find a way forward, even if they're not entirely sure what that path looks like yet. The King's willingness to meet with Harry despite the public criticism he has faced from his son represents a significant gesture of good faith. Similarly, Harry's decision to reach out to his father during a health crisis suggests that family bonds remain important to him, despite all that has happened. The reaction from other members of the royal family to this meeting has been more mixed, with some reportedly supportive of reconciliation efforts, while others remain skeptical about Harry's motives and commitment to rebuilding trust. While the meeting between Prince Harry and King Charles III may have opened a door to healing between father and son, the relationship between the two brothers presents a far more complex and potentially irreparable situation. The rift between Prince Harry and Prince William represents one of the most significant fractures within the modern royal family, with implications that extend far beyond personal feelings and into the very future of the monarchy itself. The breakdown of the relationship between Harry and William didn't happen overnight. These two brothers, who were once inseparable following the tragic death of their mother, Princess Diana, have grown apart in ways that seemed unimaginable just a few years ago. Their childhood bond was forged through shared trauma and mutual support, making the current situation all the more painful for those who witnessed their close relationship during their younger years. The first serious cracks in their relationship began to appear around the time of Harry's courtship and marriage to Meghan Markle. Reports from palace insiders suggest that William had concerns about the speed with which the relationship was progressing and allegedly advised his younger brother to take more time before making such a significant commitment. This advice, whether well-intentioned or not, was reportedly not well received by Harry, who felt that his brother was being unsupportive during what should have been a happy time in his life. The situation became more complicated when Meghan joined the royal family and began to navigate the complex world of royal protocol and media attention. Stories emerged about tensions between Meghan and Catherine, the Princess of Wales, including disputes over bridesmaid dresses and other wedding preparations. While these might seem like minor issues to outside observers, within the highly structured world of the royal family, such disagreements can take on much greater significance and create lasting tensions. However, it was Harry's decision to speak publicly about his family relationships that transformed private disagreements into a public crisis. The Duke of Sussex broke one of the most fundamental rules of royal life by discussing internal family matters in public forums. This began with the couple's interview with Oprah Winfrey in March 2021, where Harry and Meghan made several serious allegations about their treatment within the royal family. During that interview, Harry spoke about feeling trapped within the royal system and suggested that his father had cut off financial support. More damaging still were the implications about conversations regarding the skin color of Harry and Meghan's unborn child. These allegations struck at the heart of the royal family's reputation and forced them into a position they rarely occupy, having to respond publicly to private family matters. The late Queen Elizabeth II's response to these allegations was measured but telling. Her statement that "recollections may vary" became one of the most quoted royal responses in recent memory. This phrase, while diplomatic, clearly indicated that the royal family disputed some of the claims made during the interview. For an institution that rarely engages in public disagreements, even this mild contradiction represented a significant response. Harry's autobiography, published in early 2023, added another layer of complexity to the family disputes. The book contained numerous private conversations and incidents involving William, many of which painted the heir to the throne in an unflattering light. Harry wrote about physical altercations with his brother, described William as his beloved brother and arch-nemesis, and shared details about private family discussions that had never been intended for public consumption. The impact of these revelations on William appears to have been profound. Those close to the Prince of Wales describe him as someone who takes his role and responsibilities extremely seriously, and who views discretion and loyalty as fundamental values. Harry's public discussions of private family matters reportedly represent, in William's view, a fundamental betrayal of trust that goes beyond normal sibling disagreements. The situation is further complicated by the different paths the brothers' lives have taken. William has embraced his role as heir to the throne, understanding that his entire life will be dedicated to public service, and that his personal desires will often need to be subordinated to his royal duties. This acceptance of duty and tradition stands in stark contrast to Harry's decision to prioritize his personal happiness and family life over royal obligations. William's position as the future king also means that he must consider how any reconciliation with Harry might affect the monarchy's reputation and effectiveness. Every decision he makes is viewed through the lens of how it will impact his future reign and the institution he will one day lead. This creates a very different dynamic than the relationship between Harry and their father, where personal feelings can play a larger role in decision-making. The Prince of Wales also has to consider the impact of the ongoing situation on his wife Catherine and their 3 children. The allegations made about Catherine during various interviews and the book have reportedly been particularly difficult for William to accept. As a protective husband and father, William appears to view attacks on his wife as crossing a line that makes reconciliation much more difficult. There are also practical considerations that complicate any potential reconciliation between the brothers. William's schedule and responsibilities as heir to the throne are incredibly demanding, leaving little time for the kind of extended private conversations that would be necessary to rebuild their relationship. Additionally, the security arrangements and protocol requirements that surround William make informal, private meetings much more difficult to arrange than they once were. The geographical distance between the brothers also plays a role in maintaining their estrangement. With Harry living in California and William based in the United Kingdom, opportunities for casual interaction are extremely limited. Unlike their father-son relationship, where King Charles can make time for private meetings when he chooses to do so, the brothers would need to make deliberate efforts to spend time together, efforts that neither appears ready to make at this point. Perhaps most significantly, there appears to be a fundamental disagreement between the brothers about what loyalty to the family means. William seems to believe that loyalty requires keeping private matters private and presenting a united front to the public, even when there are internal disagreements. Harry appears to believe that loyalty sometimes requires speaking out about problems within the family, even if that means airing private disputes in public. The impact of these different philosophies extends beyond just the 2 brothers and affects how each views the other's actions and motivations. William may see Harry's public statements as betrayals, while Harry may view William's silence as complicity in a system he believes needed to change. These fundamentally different worldviews make finding common ground exceptionally difficult. Royal experts and former palace staff suggest that any reconciliation between William and Harry would require not just apologies and forgiveness, but a complete restructuring of how they interact and what they expect from each other. The trust that once existed between them has been severely damaged, and rebuilding that trust would require time, effort, and a willingness to be vulnerable that neither brother currently appears ready to demonstrate. Despite the recent meeting between Prince Harry and King Charles III, and the ongoing speculation about potential reconciliation within the royal family, the reality of Harry's future relationship with the monarchy appears to be far more limited than many might hope. The question of whether the Duke of Sussex will ever return to active royal duties or play a meaningful role in the institution he was born into has become increasingly clear, and the answer, according to most royal experts and palace insiders, is definitively no. The current reign of King Charles III presents unique circumstances that differ significantly from what the monarchy will look like under his successor. Charles became king at the age of 73, making him the oldest person ever to assume the British throne. This late start to his reign, combined with recent health concerns, has led many to characterize his time as monarch as a transitional period rather than a long-term transformation of the institution. Royal historians often refer to Charles as a caretaker king, someone who will maintain the stability and traditions of the monarchy while preparing it for the next generation. This transitional nature of Charles's reign creates a temporary window where personal relationships and family healing might take precedence over strict institutional protocols. The king's apparent willingness to meet with Harry and potentially maintain some form of relationship with his younger son reflects this more flexible approach. However, this flexibility is largely a product of Charles's personal circumstances and his desire to resolve family matters during what may be a relatively brief reign. The situation will change dramatically when Prince William eventually becomes king. William represents a new generation of royal leadership, one that has grown up entirely in the modern media age and has witnessed firsthand the consequences of the royal family's various crises over the past several decades. His approach to the monarchy appears to be more focused on protecting the institution's reputation and effectiveness, rather than accommodating family members who might complicate those goals. William's perspective on Harry's potential future role within the royal family has been shaped by years of observing the damage that can result from public family disputes. The Prince of Wales has seen how his uncle Prince Andrew's scandals affected the monarchy's reputation, how his parents' very public divorce created ongoing difficulties, and most recently, how Harry's own public criticism has forced the royal family into defensive positions. These experiences appear to have convinced William that the monarchy's survival depends on maintaining clear boundaries about who can represent the institution and under what circumstances. The concept of a slimmed-down monarchy has become central to William's vision for his future reign. This approach involves reducing the number of working royals who carry out official duties and receive public funding, focusing instead on a core group of senior royals who are completely committed to their roles and unlikely to create controversies. This strategy is partly driven by financial considerations, as public scrutiny of royal expenses has increased, but it also reflects a desire to avoid the complications that can arise when too many family members have public platforms. Under this slimmed-down model, there would be little room for Harry to return to royal duties, even if he wanted to do so. William's court would likely consist of himself and Catherine as the central figures, supported by a small number of other senior royals who have demonstrated consistent loyalty and discretion. Harry's public criticisms of the royal family and his decision to prioritize his personal life over royal duties would make him incompatible with this more focused approach to monarchy. The practical challenges of Harry's potential return to royal life are also significant. The Duke of Sussex now lives in California with his wife and children, has established business relationships and commitments in the United States, and has built a life that is fundamentally incompatible with the demands of working royal duties. Any return to active royal service would require him to relocate to the United Kingdom, restructure his entire professional life, and submit to the kind of institutional control that he explicitly rejected when he stepped back from royal duties. Furthermore, the question of public trust presents another major obstacle to Harry's potential return. Opinion polls in the United Kingdom consistently show that Harry's popularity has declined significantly since his departure from royal duties and his subsequent public statements about the family. Many British people view his actions as disloyal and self-serving, making it difficult for him to effectively represent the monarchy in public engagements. A working royal who lacks public support cannot effectively carry out the ceremonial and charitable functions that are central to the role. The security arrangements that would be necessary for Harry's return to royal duties also present complex challenges. The Duke of Sussex lost his automatic police protection when he stepped back from working royal status, and the legal battles over his security arrangements have become public and contentious. Any return to official duties would require resolving these security issues, which would likely involve significant public expense and ongoing complications. Meghan's role in any potential return scenario adds another layer of complexity. The Duchess of Sussex has made it clear through various statements and actions that she has little interest in returning to royal life in the United Kingdom. Her experiences as a working royal were reportedly difficult, and she appears to be thriving in her current life in California. Any scenario involving Harry's return to royal duties would need to account for Meghan's preferences and the impact on their marriage and children. The children's perspective also matters in considering Harry's future relationship with the royal family. Archie and Lilibet are being raised in California as American children, with limited exposure to British royal traditions and protocols. Even if Harry were to resume some royal duties, the question of whether his children would be raised to participate in royal life remains unclear, and their American upbringing makes them fundamentally different from previous generations of royals. William's own children represent the future of the royal family, and his focus appears to be on preparing Prince George, Princess Charlotte, and Prince Louis for their future roles, rather than accommodating family members who have chosen different paths. The Prince of Wales seems determined to create stability and predictability for his children's upbringing, which would be complicated by the ongoing uncertainty surrounding Harry's relationship with the family. The institutional memory of the royal family also works against Harry's potential return. The monarchy is an ancient institution that operates on precedent and tradition, and Harry's departure from royal duties created a precedent that makes return more difficult. Previous royals who stepped back from official duties, such as the Duke of Windsor after his abdication, generally did not return to active roles, and this historical pattern influences current expectations. The late Prince Philip's practical approach to family matters also seems to influence current thinking about Harry's situation. Philip was known for his straightforward perspective that people should accept the consequences of their decisions. This philosophy, often summarized as, "You made your bed, now lie in it," appears to be shared by other senior royals who believe that Harry's choices should have permanent consequences. The reality is that Harry appears to have made a definitive choice about his priorities when he stepped back from royal duties. That choice involved placing his personal happiness, his marriage, and his desire for privacy above his royal obligations. While this decision may have been the right one for him personally, it also closed doors that cannot easily be reopened. The royal family, as an institution, requires total commitment from its working members, and Harry's demonstrated willingness to prioritize other concerns makes him unsuitable for a return to that role. Looking toward the future, it seems clear that any relationship Harry maintains with the royal family will be personal rather than professional, and limited rather than extensive. William's eventual reign will prioritize institutional stability over family accommodation, making it highly unlikely that Harry will ever again play a meaningful role in the working monarchy. The perspective of those who worked within the royal household during pivotal moments in modern royal history provides unique insights that often differ significantly from public perceptions and media narratives. Former royal staff members occupy a unique position in royal storytelling, having witnessed private moments and personal interactions that shape the public figures we think we know. Their accounts, when they choose to share them, offer glimpses into the human side of an institution that often appears distant and formal to the outside world. Paul Burrell's decision to write about his experiences with the royal family represents a complex intersection of personal revelation, historical documentation, and public service. His journey from a working-class background in the north of England to the heart of the British establishment illustrates both the opportunities and challenges that exist within the rigid hierarchy of royal service. His story also demonstrates how chance encounters and family decisions can fundamentally alter the trajectory of a person's life in ways that only become clear many years later. The motivation behind sharing intimate details about royal life stems from multiple factors that have evolved over time. Initially, many former royal staff members maintained strict silence about their experiences, viewing discretion as both a professional obligation and a personal code of honor. This tradition of silence was supported by official and unofficial expectations, as well as by the understanding that breaking confidentiality could result in legal consequences and social ostracism. However, the landscape of royal privacy has changed significantly in recent decades. The proliferation of media coverage, the emergence of social media, and the increasing public appetite for behind-the-scenes information about royal life have created new pressures and opportunities for those with insider knowledge. Former staff members now find themselves in possession of information that the public desperately wants to hear, while also grappling with questions about loyalty, privacy, and their own right to tell their stories. The decision to speak publicly about royal experiences often comes at a personal crossroads. For many former palace employees, significant life events, such as serious illness, personal loss, or major life transitions, prompt reflection on what stories deserve to be told and what version of history should be preserved. The death of Queen Elizabeth II in 2022 marked such a moment for many people who had worked closely with her, as they grappled with how her legacy should be remembered and what aspects of her character the public should understand. The concern about historical accuracy in media representation plays a significant role in motivating former royal staff to share their experiences. Popular television shows, movies, and books about the royal family often take dramatic liberties with historical facts and personal characterizations. While these fictional accounts can be entertaining, they also shape public perception of real people and events in ways that those who are actually present sometimes find deeply troubling. Former royal employees often express frustration with seeing people they knew personally portrayed in ways that don't match their direct experience. The gap between public perception and private reality can be particularly stark when it comes to senior royals, who must maintain formal public personas while being fully human in private settings. Those who witness both sides of these individuals often feel compelled to provide more complete and accurate portraits. The question of whether private conversations and moments should remain private represents one of the most challenging ethical considerations for former royal staff. The expectation of discretion is deeply ingrained in royal service, and many former employees struggle with the tension between respecting privacy and sharing information they believe serves the public interest. This internal conflict is often resolved through careful consideration of what information is truly personal versus what relates to the public roles these individuals occupy. The process of writing about royal experiences requires navigating complex legal and ethical boundaries. Publishers and authors must consider potential defamation claims, privacy violations, and official secrets regulations when deciding what information to include. This legal framework often results in books that hint at more than they explicitly state, leaving readers to read between the lines and draw their own conclusions about sensitive topics. The personal cost of speaking publicly about royal experiences can be significant. Former royal staff who publish memoirs or give interviews often face criticism from multiple directions. Some people view them as disloyal or opportunistic, while others question their motives and credibility. The royal family itself rarely responds directly to such accounts, but their silence can be interpreted as either dignified restraint or implicit disagreement. The financial considerations involved in writing about royal experiences also cannot be ignored. Publishers are willing to pay significant advances for books by former royal staff because there is a guaranteed market for such content. However, most former palace employees emphasize that financial gain is not their primary motivation for sharing their stories, though they acknowledge that book sales can provide financial security during retirement or difficult periods. The impact of social media and online commentary has added new dimensions to the experience of former royal staff who choose to go public. Unlike previous generations of royal employees who might have given a few interviews or written a single book, today's authors must contend with immediate and often harsh online reactions to their revelations. This digital scrutiny can be particularly challenging for people who spent their careers working in discreet, private environments. The role of family influence in shaping career decisions often only becomes clear in retrospect. Many people who ended up working for the royal family describe chance encounters, family connections, or seemingly minor decisions that led to major life changes. The recognition that alternative career paths were possible, and sometimes actively prevented by family intervention, can be both enlightening and troubling for individuals reflecting on their life journeys. The relationship between social class and royal service represents another complex aspect of these personal narratives. Many royal staff members come from working-class backgrounds and find themselves navigating between two very different worlds, their origins and their professional environment. This dual identity can create both opportunities and tensions, as individuals must adapt to aristocratic expectations while maintaining connections to their roots. The long-term psychological impact of working in high-pressure, highly scrutinized environments like royal palaces is often underestimated. The constant need for perfection, the weight of responsibility for protecting important people, and the isolation that comes with maintaining strict confidentiality can take significant tolls on mental health and personal relationships. Many former royal employees describe the relief they felt upon leaving royal service, even as they valued their experiences. The decision to share personal struggles such as health challenges or questions about sexuality alongside professional experiences represents an evolution in how former royal staff approach their narratives. Rather than focusing solely on their famous employers, many now choose to tell more complete stories about their own lives, using their unique experiences to illustrate broader themes about personal growth, social change, and human resilience. The timing of when to share these stories often reflects careful consideration of multiple factors, including the health and privacy of living individuals, the historical significance of events, and the author's own readiness to deal with public scrutiny. The death of major figures like Queen Elizabeth II often creates opportunities for more open discussion about past events, as concerns about causing embarrassment or distress to living people are reduced. The legacy these personal accounts create extends beyond entertainment or gossip to provide valuable historical documentation of life within one of the world's most closely watched institutions. Future historians and researchers will rely on these first-hand accounts to understand the human dynamics behind public events and to create more complete pictures of how the royal family functioned during different periods of modern history. The intimate daily relationships between members of the royal family and their staff reveal aspects of royal life that rarely come to public attention. These working relationships, built over years of close proximity and shared experiences, often develop into bonds that transcend traditional employer-employee dynamics while still maintaining the essential boundaries required by royal protocol. Understanding these relationships provides insight into the human side of an institution that can appear distant and ceremonial from the outside. The nature of royal service creates unique dynamics that don't exist in typical workplace environments. Staff members who work closely with senior royals often spend more time with them than they do with their own families, sharing travel, private moments, and significant life events. This proximity can create deep personal connections, but it also requires careful navigation of boundaries that must never be crossed, regardless of how comfortable the relationships might become. The daily care of royal pets, particularly the Queen's beloved corgis, represented one area where formal protocol gave way to more natural interactions. The responsibility for animals creates opportunities for genuine conversation and shared concern that transcends rank and status. Discussions about a dog's health, behavior, or needs allow for the kind of ordinary human interaction that is rare in most aspects of royal life. These moments of normalcy within an otherwise highly structured environment often become treasured memories for staff members. The names and personalities of individual pets become familiar to those who care for them daily. Each animal develops its own character and preferences, and staff members often form attachments to particular pets while learning to manage the practical challenges of caring for multiple animals with strong personalities. The death of a beloved pet can create genuine grief that is shared between royal family members and staff, providing moments of authentic emotional connection. The differences between serving various members of the royal family reflect their individual personalities and approaches to their roles. Some royals maintain more formal relationships with staff, while others develop closer personal connections. These variations are not necessarily indicators of warmth or coldness, but rather reflect different management styles and personal comfort levels with intimacy versus distance in professional relationships. The evolution of royal relationships over decades provides unique perspectives on how individuals grow and change within the constraints of their positions. Staff members who serve the same royal family for many years witness personal development, responses to crises, and the gradual effects of public scrutiny and responsibility. These long-term observations offer insights into character and resilience that snapshot encounters cannot provide. The institutional changes that have occurred within the royal family since Queen Elizabeth II's death represent more than simple transitions from one monarch to another. The Queen's death marked the end of an era characterized by particular values, traditions, and approaches to royal duty that had remained consistent for over 70 years. Her passing created space for new approaches and priorities to emerge, even as the basic structure of the monarchy remained intact. The psychological impact of the Queen's death on the British public demonstrated the deep emotional connections that had developed over her long reign. Many people described feeling personally bereaved, as if they had lost a family member, despite never having met her personally. This reaction reflected the unique role she had played in providing stability and continuity during decades of social, political, and cultural change. King Charles III's approach to monarchy reflects his different personality and the distinct challenges he faces as an older monarch, taking on the role after a lifetime of preparation. His reign represents a bridge between the traditional approaches of the past and the more modern direction the monarchy will likely take under future leadership. This transitional role requires balancing respect for established traditions with recognition that some changes are necessary for the institution's continued relevance. The vision of future royal leadership under Prince William suggests significant departures from historical approaches to ceremony and public presentation. The expectation that William will adopt a more accessible and less formal style reflects both his personality and the changing expectations of modern society. The influence of his mother, Princess Diana, on his approach to royal duty continues to shape his priorities and methods, even decades after her death. The concept of the people's king represents a fundamental shift in how the monarchy might position itself in relation to the public. This approach emphasizes connection, accessibility, and shared values rather than distance, formality, and reverence. Such a change would require adjustments not just in ceremonial procedures, but in the entire culture and operation of royal institutions. The prediction that future coronation ceremonies might look dramatically different from historical precedents reflects broader changes in how the monarchy understands its role and relationship with the public. Traditional elements that emphasize hierarchy, divine right, and separation from ordinary citizens may give way to ceremonies that stress service, partnership, and shared citizenship. These changes would represent significant departures from centuries of royal tradition. The reluctance of younger royals to embrace traditional ceremonial dress and formal presentations suggests generational differences in comfort with historical symbols of monarchy, While these traditions carry deep historical significance, they can also create barriers between the royal family and the public they serve. Finding ways to honor tradition while remaining relevant and accessible represents one of the key challenges facing the modern monarchy. The completion of Princess Diana's unfinished work through her son's future reign reflects the lasting impact of her approach to royal duty and public service. Diana's emphasis on using her position to highlight social issues, support charitable causes, and connect directly with people from all backgrounds established a template for engaged royal service that continues to influence expectations for royal behavior. The technological and social changes that have occurred since the early days of the current royal generation create both opportunities and challenges for how the monarchy operates. Social media, instant global communication, and changing public expectations about transparency and accessibility require ongoing adaptation in how royals communicate with and serve the public. The role of royal spouses in shaping the institution's direction cannot be underestimated. Catherine, Princess of Wales, brings her own perspectives and priorities to royal service, and her influence on how the monarchy develops under William's eventual leadership will likely be significant. The success of royal marriages in balancing personal happiness with public duty has important implications for the stability and effectiveness of the institution. The international perspective on British monarchy continues to evolve, particularly in Commonwealth countries, where questions about continued royal connections arise periodically. The ability of future monarchs to maintain meaningful relationships with diverse global communities while respecting their autonomy and cultural differences will be crucial to the monarchy's continued international relevance. The environmental and social challenges facing the world require royal leadership that can address contemporary concerns while maintaining the timeless qualities that make monarchy valuable. The balance between tradition and progress, ceremony and substance, privilege and service will continue to define how successfully the royal family adapts to changing circumstances. The personal costs of royal service, both for family members and staff, remain significant considerations in how the institution develops. The need to maintain privacy and normalcy for royal children while preparing them for public lives requires ongoing attention to the human implications of constitutional requirements. The ultimate success of any vision for the future of monarchy will depend on its ability to serve genuine public needs while maintaining the respect and support of the people it represents. This requires ongoing attention to changing social values, economic realities, and global developments that affect how institutions function and remain relevant in modern society.